What many seek as magic, as some grand breakthrough, is often just the silent, invisible power of consistency and discipline. These two are not glamorous words, yet they hold the key to transforming your entire life. Discipline is not punishment, it is not some rigid rule forced upon you. It is the natural harmony between your inner self and the outer world. When you discipline yourself, you are simply choosing to honor the process that leads to your growth, rather than giving in to the fleeting whims of momentary pleasures. Consistency is the river that carves mountains. It is a small, seemingly insignificant action repeated every day, over and over, that eventually leads to the impossible. One day you look back and what once seemed distant and unattainable has become your reality. Not because of a sudden burst of energy, but because you kept going, no matter how small the step. Most people wait for motivation, for the perfect moment. But motivation is like the wind, it comes and goes. Discipline is your anchor, your steady breath amidst the storm. Without it, you are like a leaf tossed by every passing gust. Ironically, discipline brings freedom. When your mind is chaotic and unruly, you are a prisoner to your impulses. But when your actions follow a disciplined path, you are free to create, to explore, and to manifest your highest potential. So, cultivate discipline gently and be consistent with your efforts. Trust the invisible process. Because in the end, it is not talent or luck that leads to greatness, it is the unwavering commitment to show up again and again. This is the secret no one tells you. Greatness is not a sudden lightning strike. It is the steady, persistent flame kept alive by consistency and discipline. Success is often mistaken for something sudden. Sudden like a flash of lightning or a moment of destiny, but the truth is far simpler and far deeper. It grows quietly beneath the surface like a seed planted in the dark earth, unseen and untouched by the impatient eye. The foundation of success is not built on grand gestures or overnight miracles, but on the unwavering commitment to small, deliberate actions repeated without fail. When we talk about foundation, it means the very base upon which everything else stands. If the base is weak, no matter how tall the building, it will collapse. Similarly, success demands a foundation of discipline and consistency, the two forces that keep the structure steady through storms and uncertainties. Without these, even the brightest spark of talent will flicker and fade in the winds of distraction. Discipline is often misunderstood as harshness or restriction, but it is actually the gentle guide that aligns your inner world with your outer reality. It is the choice to show up for yourself even when desire wanes, when the mind argues for ease, when the body protests with fatigue. Discipline creates a sacred space where your intentions are honored and your efforts begin to gather power like drops of water filling a vast ocean. Consistency, on the other hand, is the rhythm that transforms effort into habit and habit into identity. It is not the intensity of a single act, but the quiet persistence of repeated actions over time that weaves the fabric of success. The river does not cut through the stone by force, but by the gentle, ceaseless flow of water that never ceases to return, no matter the obstacles in its path. Together, discipline and consistency are the twin pillars that hold up every great achievement. They are invisible architects of success, often unnoticed and uncelebrated. Yet without them, no dream can truly take root or flourish. The world may praise the moment of victory, or it is the unseen foundation, laid brick by brick, that makes that moment possible. It is also important to understand that this foundation is not built in haste or frustration, but with patience and compassion for oneself. Failure is not a sign to abandon the path, but a lesson that deepens your resolve. Each misstep is a chance to adjust, to learn, to grow stronger in the quiet process of becoming, where success is not a distant goal but a natural unfolding. Success is not a destination, it is the natural outcome of a life lived with intention, care and steadfastness. To build the foundation of success is to honor the journey itself, knowing that every act of discipline and every moment of consistency is a thread in the grand tapestry of your existence. It is here in this humble, persistent effort that the true power of success quietly resides. And so one must embrace the invisible work, the silent repetition, the daily commitment without seeking immediate rewards or recognition, because it is only through this unshakable foundation that the edifice of success can rise. Strong and enduring, weathering the storms of doubt, time and change, inner alignment is the silent harmony between who you are inside and the way you move through the world. It is the meeting point where your deepest intentions and your outward actions become one and the same, without conflict or hesitation. And when your thoughts, emotions and behaviors are synchronized, life flows effortlessly because there is no friction between what you desire and what you do. This alignment is not something to be forced or fabricated, but naturally cultivated through honest self-awareness and mindful presence. Many seek discipline and consistency as external tools to shape their lives. But without inner alignment, these efforts become hollow rituals or burdensome obligations. True discipline arises only when your outer habits reflect your inner truth. It is the natural outcome of understanding what genuinely matters to you, not what society demands or fleeting moods dictate. When your inner world is aligned, discipline becomes a joyful commitment rather than a struggle against yourself. And consistency turns into an expression of love for your own growth. Inner alignment requires deep listening, not just to the noise of the mind or the urgings of desire, but to the subtle whisperings of the soul. It is in this stillness that you find clarity about your values, your purpose, and the path that resonates with your very being. When you ignore this inner compass, your actions become disconnected and life feels heavy and fragmented as if you are living someone else's story. But when you honor this inner guidance, every step you take feels natural, as if the universe itself is supporting your movement. This alignment also means accepting all parts of yourself, the light and the shadow, the strengths and the vulnerabilities. Without judgment or resistance, it is only when you embrace your whole self that you can act with authenticity and integrity. Inner alignment does not mean perfection or constant happiness, but a grounded presence that allows you to respond to life from a place of truth rather than fear or pretense. It is the steady center from which all growth and transformation arise. When you live in inner alignment, the external world begins to reflect this harmony because your energy changes, your relationships deepen and opportunities come that are in sync with your essence. There is a magnetic quality to this state, not because you try to control or manipulate, but because you have become a clear channel for your own potential to manifest. This alignment dissolves inner conflict and tension, replacing them with calm confidence and effortless action. Many lose sight of inner alignment because they chase after external rewards, recognition or comparison. But these are fleeting and unreliable measures of success. The true measure is the peace you carry inside and the coherence between your dreams and daily life. Right resilience that carries you through challenges and uncertainty because you are anchored in a deeper, not swayed by every external circumstance or opinion. Inner alignment is also a practice of returning. Each day, each moment, you can choose to realign yourself by reconnecting with your breath, your body, and your deepest intentions. It is a continuous unfolding, never a final destination, requiring patience and compassion as you learn to navigate the ever-changing landscape of your inner world and outer life. With each return, you strengthen the connection that fuels your discipline, your consistency, and ultimately your fulfillment. And so the journey of inner alignment is both the path and the destination, a living process that calls you to cultivate stillness amid chaos, clarity amid confusion, and harmony amid fragmentation. For it is in this alignment that you find the wellspring of true power, creativity and freedom. And without it, even the greatest efforts can feel empty, scattered or burdensome because the foundation of all meaningful action is this quiet, steadfast union between who you are and what you do. Great transformations rarely happen in a single moment or a sudden burst of effort, but are born from the accumulation of countless small steps taken with intention and care. These tiny actions may seem insignificant or easy to overlook in the grand scheme of things, yet they carry the power to shift your entire reality when practiced with patience and consistency. The journey of 1,000 miles truly begins with a single step. And it is the repetition of these humble steps that paves the way to profound change. Every small step you take is like a ripple in a vast ocean, starting as a subtle movement that grows, touches and changes everything around it. The power of these small acts lies not in their immediate effect but in their persistence, in the way they build momentum over time, much like how drops of water shape stone, not by force but by gentle, steady pressure that never ceases. When you honor these small steps, you honor the process of becoming and the invisible work that success requires. Often, the mind craves instant results and overlooks the value of gradual progress. This impatience creates frustration and doubt. But the reality is that meaningful change is a slow unfolding rather than a sudden event. Small steps create a rhythm, a flow that brings you closer to your goal without overwhelming your spirit or exhausting your energy. They allow you to stay present and grounded, focusing on what you can do now rather than what seems impossible in the future. It is also in these small steps that you cultivate discipline and trust in yourself. Every time you choose the small action, you reinforce a pattern of reliability and commitment. You send a message to your subconscious that you are serious about your growth, and this trust fuels your ability to keep going. Even when challenges arise or motivation wanes, the small steps become anchors in the turbulency of life. Steady points that keep you oriented, small steps also invite mindfulness and awareness. They teach you to pay attention to the details of your journey and to appreciate progress that is often invisible to others but felt deeply within. This awareness transforms the act itself from a mundane chore into a sacred practice, where each moment of effort becomes a meditation on growth, patience and presence. As you move through life with this perspective, you begin to see that every step matters and contributes to the larger whole. The beauty of small steps is that they are accessible to everyone. Regardless of your current situation or resources, you do not need grand opportunities or perfect conditions to start. You only need to take one small step in the direction of what matters to you, and then another and another. This accessibility makes the process humble yet powerful, because greatness is built from simple beginnings. Repeated with unwavering faith in the unseen future, sometimes the small steps feel like walking in the dark where you cannot see the end or even the next few steps clearly. Yet it is this very act of moving forward that illuminates the path. Each step you take reveals the next, creating clarity out of uncertainty. This is the paradox of progress. You do not need to have it all figured out to start. You only need the courage to move slowly and steadily through the unknown. And so, embracing the power of small steps is embracing the reality that growth is a process, not an event. It is the ongoing practice of showing up for yourself with patience, humility and persistence, knowing that every small action, no matter how humble, plants the seeds of transformation that will one day bloom into the life you envision. And through this, you come to understand that the journey itself is the destination, a never-ending unfolding that invites you to walk with intention, presence and grace through the ever-unfolding mystery of becoming. Motivation is often seen as the spark that lights the fire of action, a burst of energy or enthusiasm that propels us forward. Yet motivation is fleeting, like the wind that can suddenly change direction or fade into stillness. Relying solely on motivation to keep moving is like trying to sail a ship only when the wind blows favorably. It will carry you for a time, but when the wind stops, you are left adrift without control or purpose. This is why going beyond motivation is essential for lasting growth and true success. Discipline is the vessel that carries you. When motivation has disappeared, it is the steady engine, powered by commitment rather than emotion. Discipline arises from a deeper place within, a quiet resolve that does not depend on how you feel in the moment, but on a clarity of purpose and an understanding of what needs to be done. This inner steadiness allows you to keep showing up even when desire wanes, when fatigue sets in, or when the world seems indifferent to your efforts. Beyond motivation lies the realm of habit and ritual. Actions become part of your identity rather than tasks you try to force upon yourself. When you cultivate discipline, your behavior shifts from being a struggle to a natural rhythm, a way of living that supports your growth without the constant need for external encouragement or inspiration. This transformation is subtle and often invisible, yet it is the true foundation of sustained progress and fulfillment. Many wait for motivation as a prerequisite for action. But life rarely offers perfect timing or constant enthusiasm. The practice of going beyond motivation teaches you to act in spite of resistance and doubt. It cultivates resilience and patience, qualities that carry you through challenges and setbacks. By anchoring yourself in discipline, you create a sanctuary within, where motivation becomes a welcome visitor rather than a necessary driver, freeing you from the tyranny of fleeting feelings in this space beyond motivation. You learn to trust the process rather than the immediate results. The process becomes a reward itself, a sacred practice that nurtures growth regardless of external outcomes. This trust allows you to surrender control over how quickly things will change or what obstacles might appear. It opens the heart to perseverance, knowing that every step taken with discipline is a step closer to your true potential, even when the path is unclear or difficult. Motivation, with all its charm, can sometimes deceive by promising quick success or easy progress. But discipline reveals the deeper truth that meaningful transformation is slow and steady. It requires showing up again and again, day after day, cultivating patience with yourself and the journey. This understanding dissolves frustration and impatience, replacing them with acceptance and dedication that endure beyond momentary excitement. Going beyond motivation also means embracing discomfort and uncertainty as part of the path. It means recognizing that growth often requires facing what is difficult or unfamiliar without retreating. Discipline arms you with the courage to meet these moments with calmness and resolve, allowing you to move forward even when motivation fades because your commitment is no longer dependent on feeling good, but on a deeper understanding of your purpose and potential and so on. Moving beyond motivation is not rejecting it, but transcending its limitations. It is finding a steadiness within that allows you to act with integrity and persistence no matter the shifting tides of emotion or circumstance. This is the place where true freedom lies. In the ability to choose your path and walk it with quiet strength, knowing that the journey itself is fueled not by fleeting sparks but a steady, unwavering flame of discipline and inner resolve that guides you through every step and every moment without end. Freedom is often misunderstood as the absence of limits, a state where one can do anything at any moment without restraint. Yet true freedom is not chaos or endless choice, but arises from the presence of structure, framework within which creativity, growth and purpose can flourish. Structure provides the boundaries that shape and contain energy, so that it does not dissipate into distraction or confusion, but is focused and directed toward meaningful action. When you think of structure, you might imagine rigidity or confinement. But structure is actually the fertile ground that supports freedom, like the banks of a river that guide the water's flow instead of imprisoning it. Without structure, freedom becomes overwhelming and paralyzing because the mind is left to wander endlessly without direction. But when structure is embraced, it becomes the architecture that holds the possibilities and allows you to explore without losing your self-discipline is a form of structure, a commitment to certain principles and actions that create stability in life. This stability is not a cage but a foundation from which you can leap higher and farther. Paradoxically, the more disciplined and structured your life is, the more expansive your experience of freedom. So freedom becomes because you are no longer caught in the endless cycle of distraction, indecision or regret. You have the space to create, to dream and to act with clarity. Structure also brings clarity. It simplifies choices by providing a clear path and defined priorities. This clarity is liberating because it reduces the burden of constant decision-making and doubt. When your values and routines are aligned, your energy is not wasted on trivial concerns, but directed toward what truly matters. This focus frees you from the chaos of competing desires and external pressures, allowing you to live with intention and presence without structure. Freedom can quickly turn into aimlessness, where every option feels like a trap and every decision breeds anxiety. Structure offers a container for your energy that transforms freedom from a confusing expanse into a meaningful journey. It is the frame on the canvas that allows the painting to take shape, and in this sense, structure is not a limit, but a gateway to expressing your higher self with authenticity and power. Many resist structure because they associate it with restriction or loss of spontaneity. But true spontaneity comes from a place of groundedness and self-mastery. Structure provides the roots from which spontaneity and creativity can emerge naturally, like a tree that sways freely in the wind because its roots are strong. When your life has structure, you can respond to challenges and opportunities with flexibility and grace. Rather than being tossed about by every whim or impulse, freedom through structure is also freedom from internal chaos. When your mind and habits are orderly and disciplined, you are liberated from the tyranny of distractions, doubts and conflicting desires that pull you in many directions. This internal freedom allows you to cultivate peace and focus, which are the true currencies of a fulfilled life. And with this freedom, your actions become more effective, your relationships more meaningful, and your path more clear. And so, the paradox of freedom and structure is a dance where one supports the other in an endless unfolding. Structure is not the enemy of freedom, but its foundation, creating a container that holds and nourishes your potential, allowing you to move through life with purpose, clarity and joy. And within this harmony, you find a liberation that is not chaotic but deeply rooted, not fleeting but enduring, a freedom that invites you to live fully and authentically without end.